I will do this one for my friend Dr. Johnson, and who made the remark basically that um, my eyes were adjusted by 8 doctors with a lens. So my eyes are still at 8 doctors, or my eyes are still too long, thinking it that way. And I'm saying, who cares? Who really cares? Only I care. Once I got to 2050, then I had to be control of it, which means measurement control. And you see what I'm doing. Now, I see all primate eyes as dynamic. It's universal. It's the meta eye. If we lived outdoors, didn't do this, our refractive states would be positive. And this is the Eskimos, and I made that very clear. The Eskimos had positive refractive states and all 2020, barring any medical situation like detached retina. And that's what Francis Young found when he went up and checked their eyes. However, optometrists call positive refractions defective. Your eyes are defective because you have positive refraction, and that's hyperopia, and that's a refractive error. I'm like, you're not understanding something. So now, I, of course, screwed up my eyes because of my habits as a child. And you'll see this in the primate eye studies. Put a minus lens on the primate eye, it goes down. In fact, you put a primate plus on the primate eye, it goes up because it's a control system. But you'll never see this concept talked about in optometry. There's a lot of things they won't talk about in optometry because they think you're not educated, or you don't have the interest, or you don't have the ability to understand or do anything. Even Dr. Johnson said that after after LASIK, a woman would get LASIK and 2020 positive refractive state, and she'd go back to doing this again. And 6 years later, she'd be 2 doctors myopic again. So if you think that I don't have to wear a plus to prevent that, you're not very smart in science and fact. So I'm wearing a plus. I know my vision happens to prevent my fraction from going down a second time. The first time was terrible. So this is where, I'm sorry to say, optometry disconnects from scientific reality. And we can argue about that, certainly, about measurements, who measures it, who's accurate. But I've obviously made my choice. And it really came from, in college, I was certain that all eyes are sophisticated control systems, as I say they are, and when I test them that way. It's not medicine. So I was extremely lucky to meet Jake Rafelson. And Jake Rafelson would not let it go. He called the minus lens poison glasses, which is the meta eye theory concept. So he did quite a few studies, and the most important one was children reading. And what he said was that they would, a group of children, observe them, and they would sit down, they start reading at 6 inches, 10 inches, that's still -4 diopters, which understandable. And then after 10 minutes, they go in this, and they're reading at 4 inches. 4 inches, -10 diopters. And that's an average. Obviously, you could do this for 2 or 3 minutes, but you do it for hours. Your average is then minus 10 diopters. So average that over a day, that's minus 5 diopters. And you keep on doing it, and the refractive state of their normal eyes goes from plus to minus. So here is the video, and I thank Jacob Rafelson to have the courage to stay with the subject and think about this. Now, not all optometrists can stop a child from doing that. Only the parents could stop the child from doing that. Yet, in my opinion, a universal eye, the eye is a dynamic control system. What is certain to happen is refraction will go down because the eye follows the accommodation signal. It's a control system mathematical equation. And you won't find any optometrist saying one word about this, not one. I guess they just pretend that's not a problem. And Rafelson had the courage to document it. So how does that work out with Rupa Wong? What she said was she finds kids come, she doesn't know what they're doing, but she finds that once they're slightly negative, 20/40, let's say 6 years old, 7 years old, they come in, they're going down 1 diopter per year. Yet she can't document this. You take the primate eye seriously and the dynamic eye concept. That's inevitably the reason why the normal eye controls itself to the accommodation signal. If you don't know control theory, you're not going to understand it. It's a highly sophisticated system, but it does this. And the parents don't do anything to stop it. I certainly did it myself and regret it. And it's because people don't understand. So I don't blame anyone medical for this, like Rupa Wong. She can't stop this, but she knows what's happening or going to happen for her children. So rather than trying to change the public's habits, which she cannot change, she has her kids' eye reading at 20 inches and playing tennis. 20 inches, it's minus 2 diopters accommodation. And of course, let's say you do 20 inches for 8 hours and 8 hours outside. So the average is minus 1 diopter. And the primate eyes, the refractive state will be measured positive if you do that consistently. So people will say, I'm blaming the doctor. No, I'm not. I'm blaming the child's habits, which only the parent can change, educated. Now, I consider myself, Jacob was 91 years old when I met him. And it was almost just a casual thing. I knew he was in Ohio to drive over and talk to him and see what exactly optometrist thinks. So he spent about 30 years doing this type of research, but he knew he could not control the child. He could control his own child by keeping the nose off the page and wearing the plus. But this must be done before you start wearing minus lens. To not understand the problem that way, or to let yourself get down to 20/60, it's then basically too late. I'll basically say, if you start wearing minus lens, the eye goes down at a faster rate. It's a control system because of minus lens, and because you did not know enough to stop it when you're at 20/40. So I'm not really blaming the optometrist. I'm blaming a child's habits. And that should be a matter of part of optometry, but it's not. And why is it not? A discussion of a broad concept of the eye's behavior, the meta eye, should be part of science. And should be part of any effort to prevent nearsightedness in engineer pilots entering a four-year college. Let them measure, let them do their own prevention the way I'm doing it. Nobody, why not? But I mean electrical engineers who design control systems, because if you don't do that, you're not going to understand the whole concept. So that's why I don't argue with optometrists, because until they're willing to talk about this, there's no science in optometry. Then they'll tell you, well, no one knows anything. No one knows what causes nearsightedness. No one knows anything. And then they never look at this and say, no one knows anything. Why are you bothering me? Yeah. And I thank Rafelson for that one. But even he knew that you couldn't talk to the public and get them to wear the plus lens properly. And that's not his fault. It's the fault of our educational system and the fact that the minus lens is so incredibly easy and prevention is so incredibly difficult until you decide to do it yourself. So add your own commentary. I'm extremely lucky to have met Jacob Rafelson. I didn't really want to get into this, but once I did, I have to say my own vision after all. I mean, who's going to save my vision for me? An optometrist? How could that possibly happen? Add your own commentary. Thank you.